Thank you very much. This is Daniel Slot Loudcry, and I'm happy to meet you again this day. Now, our topic is recovering the Waymarks and Great Advent movement. Therefore, we are beginning with this quotation, and may God give us the strength to the very end. A quotation from 1906, written to Elder S.M. Cobb. S.M. Cobb is one of the elders who is presiding in the time. Okay. So we are shown the book. All right. There we are. Okay. So we are told at this time, many efforts will be made to unsettle our faith in the sanctuary question. But we must not waver. Not a pin is to be moved from the foundations of our faith. Truth is still truth. Those who become uncertain will drift into erroneous theories and will finally find themselves infidel in regard to the past history. We have heard of what is truth. The old Waymarks must be preserved. The old Waymarks must be preserved, that we lose not our bearings. Letters 395, the year 1906, paragraph 4. All right. You also find it in 1 MR 55, paragraph 3. We are told that these Waymarks should be preserved, and because they must be preserved, all right, okay, we must also understand that the prophet has been given these things, because as we read in the book of Hosea, okay, the book of Hosea, I hope you're there. The book of Hosea. Today we'll study slowly until we understand, we grasp the basic principles that involves these Waymarks, okay, and pillars of our faith. So therefore we look into the book of Hosea. The book of Hosea, there's no way Ellen G. White cannot be involved. Everything is involved in the spirit of prophecy, and we must understand that it is by a prophet Israel must be preserved. Okay? By a prophet. And let's look at Hosea chapter 12, verse number 13. Is it 13? Yes. So we are looking into the book of Hosea chapter 12, verse number 13. And by a prophet the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt, and by a prophet was he preserved. So we have two prophets: the prophets who draw you out from Egypt, and the prophet who preserves you. So if there is a prophet who draws you out, who is he? Today we are going to see the revelation that this prophet had, because we just call him as a proclaiming prophet. He's proclaiming. He's the one who gave the first angel message. So who is he? William Miller. And also, prophets are not accepted. Do you know in the Church Seventh Adventist, William Miller is not even recognized. William Miller is not recognized by most. He's not recognized by most of the evangelists, by most of the teachers, pastors in the General Conference Adventist churches, General Conference, GC, SDA churches. And now we are going to look at the Waymarks, their prediction and their preservation in a vision form first. Then we're going to look into the way in which God has brought these Waymarks again through the spirit of prophecy. All right. So we turn now to our books. Have your books and your papers nearby, because right now there are a lot of things that we need to understand, and because we need to understand a lot of things, therefore let's be ready. Thank you very much for this, for the beginning of this Bible study with you. Thank you.
Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God.
All right, so we are seeing with us this book that we're going to read, and we're going to read. I hope you have your book and your paper. There are these instructions that are given, and before we go much into this instruction, we have to see that these truths have been made clear for us, that we must preserve them, as we have been told to preserve them. So I'm going to bring forward Ellen G. White. He's saying that these Waymarks have been preserved by her writings, and her writings are immortalized. Let me just find out. There are these statements that she makes that are so terrifying if you are rebellious. So we are told in I think I didn't place it near. Just give me time. Meanwhile, we are told that Israel is brought out. Okay, is brought out. Out where? Out from Egypt. So since he's brought out of Egypt, it means that there is a prophet that was given much of these messages. Okay, much of these messages. So we have to locate the Great Advent movement, and we must understand the way in which the Lord led us in the past first. Then we go into the study itself. All right. So there we are. Now that is, we feel deeply over Portland. We have not been here for many years. We were accounted with Portland when the Great Advent movement was going on in which years? 1840 to 1843, when Father William Miller, Elder J.V. Hems, and many of the leading important speakers were giving the testing messages. For years, the warning was given in this important city of Portland, and the power of the power of God attended the message. But time has been passing, and I was given an important message for the people. What is this important message for the people? Because we need to be ready to understand why Ellen G. White is involved. All right. Yes. So why is Ellen G. White involved in all this? Why are we reading Ellen G. White? Some people have been asking this question. Why are we reading a lot of Ellen G. White? Because she is given the message for the last days, message to preserve. She was given a message that she was involved in to preserve it. Okay. So it is not in this. Okay, it is not in this one. Let me bring it just a minute. So we are told, since there is a prophet that brings them out, therefore there must be a prophet who preserves the messages that they were given. Okay, these messages they were given are the Waymarks that we're talking about. Okay, and since the Waymarks that we are talking about, this quotation is found in a different location. So I'm trying to look for it. It is very important. I didn't remember it while here a while ago. So I'm bringing it out in a moment. So this moment is very crucial for us. Now, as we're looking into our Bible study this evening, we are happy that we are meeting in this study so that we may not lose our bearings. Okay, we may not lose our bearings. We may not be lost. All right, I got it. I got where it is. So, and what is telling us in manuscript releases. We are checking manuscript releases. Okay. Yes, manuscript releases. And that's where Okay, let me just a moment, because we have this truth everywhere that they have been placed, and Ellen G. White is saying that her writings have been immortalized. Okay, her writings has been immortalized. Okay, so I'm trying to bring it up. Okay, so that is our landmark, and we need to understand how Ellen G. White is involved in all this process. Why? Because as we are seeing in this is Willa Miller. So before we come to that Great Advent Movement, we have seen it in the past video that shows that Willa Miller and his associates were given to give the messages, and these messages were in the past 1840 to 1844, and since they were in those years, we realize that we are much more involved in them. Okay, so since we are much involved in these messages, we are to understand. Okay, we have to understand that these messages have been immortalized, right? So I got it. So we thank God for His remembrance, His spirit of remembrance. So we are reading from Manuscript Releases 760, paper 22, page. That should be page 22-23. All these truths are immortalized in my writings. Let's check again that scripture which we read. All right. Okay. So we are seeing in Hosea 12:13, and by a prophet the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt, and by a prophet was he preserved. That is a principle, and that principle, the way he does it, God does not change today, tomorrow, or even He's the same yesterday. So He's the same God, right? So we find that the Lord is the same. Hebrews, that should be Hebrews chapter 13 verses 8. So as we're reading Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8 says, Jesus Christ the same yesterday and today and forever. The way He deals with us is just the way He dealt with the children of Israel from Egypt. Right? So we have the spiritual Egypt and we have the physical Egypt. So since we have the spiritual Egypt, therefore we must know that there is a physical Egypt. Okay, so we are turning back to our quotation. All these truths are immortalized in my writings. The Lord never denies His word. Men may get up scheme after scheme, and the enemy will seek to seduce souls. He'll seek to seduce souls from the truth. But all who believe that the Lord has spoken through Sister White, has given her a message, will be safe. Will be safe from what? Will be safe from the many delusions that will come in these last days. So we see that there are many delusions that are coming in at a high rate. So we find that in You Shall Receive Power, UYRP, page 238, paragraph 4. Okay, so what was she really talking about? She's talking about the Waymarks, point by point, that were laid. All right, let's confirm. It's very important to confirm. YRP, YRP, the next page, 239, paragraph 2. Some people think that this is only Trinity. This is just not only Trinity. This is everything in summary. Okay, so I'm reading from YRP 239, paragraph 2. It reads, in the future, deception of every kind is to arise, and we want solid ground for our feet. That's why the spirit of prophecy is going to work to be part and parcel of the fourth angel. We want solid pillars for the building. We want what? Solid pillars for the building. And then not one pin is to be removed. Not one pin is to be removed. And then what happens? Since not one pin is to be removed from that which the Lord has established, the enemy will do what? The enemy will bring in false theories such as the doctrine that there is no sanctuary. This is one of the points on which there will be a departing from the faith. Where shall we find safety unless it be in the truth that the Lord has been giving for the last 50 years? Okay? Where shall we find safety? Oh, so these messages are the truth is able to save us. It is the truth that will save us, right? So since the truth is the one that will save us, it means God is going to empower his truth. So therefore, we need to preserve the waymark. We need to preserve the waymarks as we will be able, then God will enable us. He says, as according to your strength, so shall be your days, the days that will be determined for or appointed for the time of trouble will be determined. Each one will have the day proportionate to the truth which he has and the love of the brethren which he has have all along. So therefore, because we will not stand alone, we will stand with brethren gathering together. So we are talking about that this is one of the points in which there will be a departing from the faith. One point, which means there are six points that are important for us to understand at this time, because we understand clearly that the Lord has made to us these truths that he has appointed to us. So therefore, we have seen Ellen G. White is playing an important role, and therefore, since she is playing an very important role, we are going to see how or what she endorses for us to see the future, which is not veiled from us, those who are seeking the truth and are thirsty to understand the truth for their souls. And now we are going to see the book. There is this book where okay, so let's see. She is speaking about William Miller. Now William Miller, she speaks about William Miller in early writings, and therefore, as you're going to see the book Early Writings, I'm going to show from the moment she is saying that we must preserve these waymarks. Since we must preserve these waymarks, therefore we must be sure how to preserve these waymarks. How should we preserve these waymarks? That is to be our big, great question. Okay, that should be the question of the time. Therefore, I'm going to open this discussion in this next passage where she is endorsing something about William Miller. What is she endorsing? Okay, we must know for ourselves these things. All right, so she's saying here that one of the points that will be what the enemy will have a problem with will be the sanctuary. So if that part, the sanctuary will be one part, therefore we need to know all other places. So since we need to know all other places that are that the enemy has a problem with, and so we need to check. We need to check everything that involves us. So I'm going to read Early Writings, page 48.2. Early Writings, page 48.2 shows us what she is telling us, how she is used to preserve. God is using her to preserve, okay, to preserve God's people. It is the truth that is going to save us. So these truths and pillars are these truths that are coined as pillars, 7 pillars. Let me read again in Proverbs, so that you may know that even the Old Testament, they had these things, these pillars, so that they may not falter. Today we are going to get enrichment. Now we are reading, wisdom has builded her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. How many pillars? 7 pillars. Now, after hewing out her 7 pillars, now she calls everyone to come and feast. And we will be reading these quotations that Ellen G. White is saying that there was a feast of truth. Look at that. Wisdom, she has killed her beasts. She has mingled her wine. She has also furnished her table. She has set forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. Now, calling for everyone to come and feast. So let's see, is this the same parable Jesus is using in Luke chapter number 12? Yes, of course. So in Luke chapter number 12, verses number 30, is it 36? Yes. Beginning from verse 35. Let your loins be guarded about and your lights burning. Let your loins be guarded about, all right? And your lights burning. Reformers, you see, this lights burning is usually used to describe lights burning, used to describe John the Baptist. And who is John the Baptist? He was Elijah to come to restore all things. So the lights should be burning. Therefore, verse 36 says, and you yourself what? You yourselves are like what? You yourselves, sorry about that. You yourselves, like unto men that wait for their Lord when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately. Blessed are those servants, all right, whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall guard himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. He will make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. That's what we have read in Proverbs. And in Proverbs we read clearly that she has done what? In Proverbs chapter 1. Wisdom has builded her house, 1798 to 1844. She has hewed out her 7 pillars. All right, now let's see how these 7 pillars were hewed out. And we are turning to this book that is for us this time. And what is Ellen G. White endorsing? First of all, some of us are not clear about these before we enter into William Miller things. This is the quotation I wanted to bring into your attention. And the quotation comes from CCH, page, is it 90 or 91? 90.1. Yes. 90, is it 90? So sorry about that. It should be CCH. Oh, I got it wrong. CCH. Page 91. Yes, page 91. Now, this is what Ellen G. White is talking about the gift that has manifested in her. And she was really hated during her time due to the revelations that God opened to her. She could write a letter about someone's corruption, someone's last evening corruption. There is a letter called the Salamanca Dream. She saw how the General Conference were planning to obliterate the name Seventh-day Adventist. Anyway, there are a lot of visions she saw, and she could send them early in the morning. So I'm reading from CCH 91 paragraph 1. As the end draws near and the work of giving the last warning to the world extends, it becomes more important for those who accept present truth to have clear understanding. To have what? Clear understanding. Without this clarity, my friends, there's going to be problems, because we have been told our minds must be clear. All right? Okay, so we read. So clear understanding of the nature, it becomes more important for those who accept present truth to have a clear understanding of the nature and influence of the testimony, spirit of prophecy manifested in Ellen G. White, right? The voice of Christ manifested in Ellen G. White during that time, which God in his providence has linked which God in his providence has linked with the work of the third angel's messages from its very rise. So we need to understand exactly the role of the spirit of prophecy or the writings of Ellen G. White, okay, to the last church, in the last, very, very last church, Okay, so I'm reading from, I'm going now to read from early writings, page 48, paragraph 2. I'm reading William Miller's dream. Okay, so that is the chapter. William Miller's dream. Now, William Miller's dream is this. Dear brethren, the Lord gave me a view, January 26th, 1850. So, we have read in Hosea, the Lord has preserved who? The Lord has preserved Israel after drawing Israel out of Egypt. Okay, so since Israel is drawn out of Egypt, it means therefore that the Lord is concerned to preserve Israel by a prophet. Now listen, the Lord gave me a view January 26th, 1850. 1850. Now, you know what happened in 1850? I think you know, since we have been studying, but we are going to repeat. Don't worry, don't get scared. We're going to repeat because it's about recovering. It's about we are talking about recovering the pillars, the Waymarks. We are talking about recovering the Waymarks. Now, how do we recover these Waymarks? It is by adhering to the spirit of prophecy. So you cannot help recover that which is lost without inspiration. So inspiration, as we read, has immortalized the writings of Ellen G. White. All right? And these pillars will be preserved by them. Did you read that quotation? Yes. So I think I'm going to read it after this dream. Then we are told, the Lord gave me a view January 26th, 1850, which I will relate. I saw that some of the people of God are stupid and dormant and but half awake. They do not realize the time we are now living in, and that the man with the dirt brush has entered, and that is 1850. You remember because that statement only works when there is corruption that has been entering the churches since 1844 will be mentioned, like corrupting the present truth, rejecting the platform of truth. All right, rejecting or twisting words. We will use the book Daniel and Revelation and expose some things, because the writer of Daniel and Revelation somehow did not want to bring things clearly out at some point. We will go through these things. May God help us to show the difference of such writings and exactly why Ellen G. White endorsed it. Okay? Why Ellen G. White is endorsing it, and at what point or what is she endorsing in that book. She did not just endorse everything in every book. All right? So I hope we'll be clear in that part. So the man with the dirt brush has entered, and that some are in danger of being swept away. I begged of Jesus to save them, to spare them a little longer, and let them see their awful danger, that they might get ready before it should be forever too late. All right? The angel said, destruction is coming like a mighty whirlwind. I begged of the angel to pity and to save those who loved this world, who are attached to their possessions. We read, and were not willing to cut loose from the sacrifice, from them. Let me read again. Who were attached to their possessions and were not willing to cut from them and sacrifice to speed the messengers to their way to feed the hungry sheep who are perishing for want of spiritual food. So it's up to you to know who is a messenger, because without the 7 pillars, that is not a messenger, as we will be reading quotation to show messengers are known. Seventh Adventist messengers are known by these pillars. That's what we should know. Ellen G. White says that those servants of God who have walked in this, who have held the messages from the beginning, should be servants of high value. So if you use them around or to throw them around, remember the frown of God will be there. So I'm not going to emphasize anything. All right. So William Miller's dream, as we continue to see. So Ellen G. White is saying the man with that man brush is seen to be entering into the system. So we are going to see from page 81 beginning with paragraph 2. All right, beginning with paragraph number 2. So we are told, remember, we are reading about William Miller's dream, because Ellen White is saying there is a Dartman brush was entered. Now let's find out, where is this Dartman brush found in every record. Let's see. So we are seeing, I dreamt that God by an unseen hand sent me a curious wrought casket about 10 inches long by 6 square, made of ebony and pearls curiously inlaid. To the casket there was a key attached. I immediately took the key and opened the casket, when to my wonder and surprise I found it filled with all sorts and sizes of jewels, diamonds, precious stones. Diamonds, precious stones. What happens with diamonds and precious stones? And gold and silver, coin of every dimension and value, beautifully arranged in their several places in the casket. All right, in their several places in their casket. Continue. All right, and thus arranged they reflected a light and glory equaled only to the sun. Equaled only what? To the sun. Wow, I get that there is a point I've gotten there. Equal only to the sun. Therefore, we need to understand this William Miller dream, because these truths are equaled only to the sun in this noonday. Wow. Okay, so we are looking at early writing 81, paragraph 3. I thought it was not my duty. I thought it was not my duty to do what? Okay, I thought it was not my duty to enjoy this wonderful sight alone, although my heart was overjoyed at the brilliancy, beauty, and value of its content, because there's gold there. But the brightness is like the sun. I therefore placed it on a center table in my room and gave out word that all who had a desire might come and see the most glorious and brilliant sight ever. The most glorious and brilliant sight ever. And we are told, ever seen by man in this life. Okay, so this glorious sight, what is it all about? Let's look at the next paragraph and know for our own selves. So since we are being instructed, let us write these things down. Key points, you note them, because we will use those key points in prophecy. Okay, you ask yourself, how will I know the key points? Don't worry, I will remind you. So remember the dream. There's no way of escape. You must have this dream on your mind, off head. The people began to come in at first. The people began to do what? To come in at first. Why? What happens? What happens next? We are told the people began to come in at first, few in number, but increasing to a crowd. When they first looked into the casket, they would wonder and shout for joy. But when the prospectors increased, everyone will begin to trouble the jewels. All right. Once they began to be increased in number, everyone will begin to trouble the jewels, taking them out of the casket and scattering them on the table. The first step is they take them out of the casket and scatter them on the table. Let's see if there is another step, or is it the end? No, it is not yet. There is still to scatter it. They are to remove it from the table and scatter it on the table. Therefore, where else do they scatter it? Let's see in page 82, paragraph 82, paragraph 2. What does the Lord say to us? I began to think that the owner will require the casket and the jewels again at my hand, and if I suffered them to be scattered, I could never place them in their places in the casket again as before. They were wonderfully placed in order, a system of truth that would rebuff the enemy of truth. and God's people will triumph because the truth is systematically placed in this casket. And felt, continued Miller, and felt I should never be able to meet the accountability, for it would be immense. I then began to plead with the people not to handle them, nor to take them out of the casket. But the more I pleaded, the more they scattered. And now, where did they scatter them? And now they seem to scatter them all over the room, on the floor and on every piece of furniture in the room. They're discussing these things while they're now scattering them everywhere. Okay? Yes, so what happened? Because as he's still continuing to plead with them, he's finding out that it is very difficult to restrain them from, because these jewels were like the sun, removing them from their settings, nobody will recognize the beauty, all right? Okay, few will be able to recognize these truths in order to recover them, all right? But then, let us see what is then what is he talking about in now early writings 82 paragraph 3. 82 paragraph 3. I then saw that among the genuine jewels and coin they had scattered, and I then saw that among the genuine jewels and coin they had scattered an innumerable quantity of spurious jewels. So error came into the truth. Yes, error came into the truth. Can I bring up a quotation in Great Controversy so that you may think along as we are reading? Great Controversy, page 410. Is it paragraph 2 or 1? Okay. 410. It should be paragraph 2 or 1. Okay. All right, so we are told that in the book of Great Controversy that this was a people. 401, not 410. I remember. GC. They sound like the same, right? So we are told in paragraph 3 of the same page. I'm reading it. I'm just giving you something to think about while still holding on to this dream, because the dream is about the truth that Miller was given by a hand, mysterious hand, providential to him. So I'm reading from Great Controversy, page 401, paragraph 3. Just write the beginning of that paragraph so that you may remember what you're writing. Of all the great religious movements since the days of the apostles, none have been more free. None have been more free from human imperfection and the wiles of Satan than was that of the autumn of 1844. The truth was perfected in 1844. All right, and the spirit of prophecy, a gift most to be mostly admired by the church. Okay, says Paul. Let's see 1 Corinthians. Says Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verses number. Should it be verse number 1? Yes. He says, follow after charity and desire spiritual gift, but rather that you may prophesy. That's the best gift that Paul recommends to every believer. Because in a church, that truth is made perfect, and those who are advocating it are called the Philadelphia. They love each other. Actually, I was reading that the sister to Ellen G. White, went and started doing a work as a house girl in order to raise funds for Joseph Bates, because Joseph Bates is recognized as one of those who came up with this truth since its rise. Therefore, that is one qualification of a messenger in our time. So I'm going back to the passage which were in William Miller's dream. I then saw among the jewels. Okay, I then saw among the jewels, what? Among the genuine jewels and coin, they had scattered an innumerable quantity of spurious jewels. So among these genuine jewels and coins, also they brought innumerable quantity of spurious jewels and scattered them as well in them, and counterfeit coins. So they were spurious and counterfeit. I was highly incensed at their base conduct and ingratitude, and reproved and reproached them for it. All right? Reproved and reproached them for it. But the more I reproved, the more they scattered the spurious jewel and false coins among the genuine. Oh, the first one, they scattered the truth on the table. Second, they scattered all over the place of the room and upon every surface. Third, the more they scattered the spurious jewels and false coins among the genuine. So they brought the spurious and the counterfeit or false jewels, false coins. And this is what is causing a shaking. Shaking is caused by introduction of false theories. Those who are surface readers, they will be moved. Those who are surface readers will do what? Will hold to the tenor of their feelings, because the truth is piercing them through. And they will be found to be holding anchored nowhere. So the sinners in Zion will be shaken. Let's just continue. And shaking is done by the truth. Shaking is not done by being removed from the church. Shaking is done by the truth. Are you sure you are dismembering those who are wrong on doctrinal points? Are you sure? That's the question in their hearts. That shows there is no rest amongst the wicked. So I read the next passage so that we may continue to the end. So 84, paragraph 4. Early writings, I read 84 paragraph 4. I read this. Sorry, is it 84? 82 paragraph 4. 82 paragraph 4. All right, so I'm coming back to you like that, and then we're reading there. So I then became a vexed. Vexed is like self-hatred, filled with disappointment, wretchedness. I then became vexed in like sighing and crying. That is the term. I was sighing and crying. I then became vexed in my physical soul and began to use physical force to push them out of the room. But while I was pushing out one, 3 more would enter and bring in dirt and shavings and sand and all manner of rubbish. So bringing in the rubbish. All right. After bringing the spurious and false or counterfeit, now they're bringing the rubbish. Bringing what? Shavings, sand, and rubbish. All manner of rubbish. All right. Sand and shavings and all others that are just rubbish, until they covered every one of the true jewels, diamonds, and coins, which were all excluded from sight. All right. Let me read that passage again. But while I was pushing out one, 3 more came. 3 more will enter and bring in dirt and shavings and sand and all manner of rubbish, until they covered every one of the true jewels, diamonds and coins, which were all excluded from sight. Okay, so rubbish was full in the system. So those are how many steps? The first step, scattering on the table. Second step, scattering on the room, from the table to the room, everywhere on the floor and on every surface. Second step, bringing in spurious and counterfeit coins. All right. Third step, we are seeing bringing in shavings and sand and all other rubbish and all manner of rubbish. That is step 4. So we are in step 4, the abominations that are done in Jerusalem. They also tore in pieces my casket. They also tore in pieces my casket and scattered it among the rubbish. I thought no man regarded my sorrow or my anger. You see, vexed. I became wholly discouraged and disheartened, and sat down and wept. All right, and wept much. So as he wept, what happened next. We are going to read 2 paragraphs to fasten this study. So as we're seeing this William Miller dream, and William Miller dream brings us to the following text. So we are looking at page 83. Page 83, you'll just see the texts. Don't be worried. So these pages are just they are displayed on your screen. So don't be scared about understanding these truths for yourselves. All right. So just a moment, I'm trying to make them clear for you. All right, so there we go. They're going to be displayed clearly. Yes. So we are told, while I was thus weeping and mourning for my great loss and accountability. You have lost them and you have no reason to give. You have no reason to give. I remembered God and earnestly prayed that He will send me help. Immediately the door opened and a man entered the room. When the people all left it, okay, those who were there scattering, bringing in spurious, joining in, bringing in other materials in the among the casket and tearing the casket. So they left, and he, having a dart brush, having what? A dart brush. Did Ellen White use this dream? Endorse this dream, not use it. Endorse this dream, because she does not endorse in teaching the reality, natural things, parables, and divine things. So this is one of those. So, and he, having a dart brush in his hand, opened the window. Opened the what? Windows, and began to brush the dirt and rubbish from the room. While I was thus weeping and mourning for my great loss and accountability, I remembered God and earnestly prayed. So it seems this is a repeated paragraph. Prayed that He will send me help. Okay, now repeated it. Now continue. Immediately the door opened and a man entered. I think I'm repeating the same thing all over. But we have seen that. Okay, that's. I think that passage is repeated. Oh, I pasted it twice. Sorry for that. So now we are looking into the next passage about what he does next. Let Miller tell us what he does next. I cried to him. Okay? Crying to who? To the angel. The man who came in is called the dart man brush. I cried to him. What was he crying? He was crying about what he's going to mention. Just hold on. I cried to him to forbear, for there were some precious jewels scattered among the rubbish. Then what happened? These precious jewels are scattered among the jewels. But imagine, this dart man brush still continues. The man with the dart brush. He told me to fear not, for he will take care of them. Fear not. He will take care of them. Right? Okay, so what about the next passage? We're reading from 83.5 early writings. 83.5. All right, so we are seeing what what the Bible speaks about the prophet preserving the truth. How? It is God who is preserving them, these truths. Okay, so we have nothing to do with the truth. We only have to proclaim it, showing the wonderful things that the Lord has done. That's what we can do, like the of Jehoshaphat, and just look at the salvation of the Lord. So we are told, then while he brushed the dirt and rubbish, false jewels and counterfeit coins. How many things? Dirt and rubbish, false jewels and counterfeit coins. all rose and went out of the window like a cloud. A cloud. And the wind carried them away. Which wind? Okay. In the parcel, I closed my eyes for a moment. When I opened them, the rubbish was all gone. The precious jewels, the diamond, the gold and silver coins lay scattered in the profusion all over the room. So he is seeing that these jewels are already recovered from the barrel, from the heap of the rubbish. So what other thing is he talking about? Let's see what he's expecting. Do you want to know what he's expecting to happen? All right, so we are seeing that he then placed on the table a casket. He then placed on the table a casket much larger and more beautiful than the former. So this is increased light, so brighter than the first one, beautiful than the first one. All right, and gathered up the jewels and diamonds, the coins by the handful, and cast them into the casket. Preservation, gathering back or recovering the waymarks. All right, and cast them into the casket till not one was left, although some of the diamonds were not bigger than the point of a pin. All right, he then called upon me to come and see. Come and see. Don't forget everything in this vision, because we'll use those passages like the phrase come and see. Don't forget, because those are the things we will use. All right, brighter like the sun. All right. Those are the things we shall use to understand deeper the meaning that is clear, so that the casket may be bigger than the first. Okay. I looked into the casket, but my eyes were dazzled with the sight. They shone with 10 times their former glory, 10 times brighter. Don't forget, 10 times brighter. I thought they had been scored in the sand by the feet of those wicked persons who had scattered and trod them in the dust. So those who are scattering the truth are called wicked. All right? They'll be registered as with the wicked. They were arranged in beautiful order in the casket, everyone in its place, without any visible pains of the man who cast them in. The man brought them back together without any effort. The only effort he used was just to go collect them and bring them by handfuls. I shouted with very joy, and that shout awoke me. So Mila was waking up like a man in deep sleep, at first and also during the dream. So I believe you are seeing that great Advent movement was all about a casket of jewels. A casket was shown to Mila. All right. So this casket had two groups of people: those who will gather them and those who will scatter them. First, after 1844, scattering commences. Now I'm reading from GC, the book called GC. All right. GC, page 600, and is it 3? Yes, 603, the loud cry. 603, the title called Loud Cry, or in Loud Cry in 4SP, but now this GC 1911 is called The Final Warning, which has been tampered with a lot. So I'm going to read some part here that you should be able to understand now, or failure, you will not understand it. Okay, so we are told 1884. Okay, so I'm bringing it. This passage here is always let me just show what I'm trying to show here. I'm going to show something here. Final warning, this scripture points. Yes, so I'm going to show you something that is been corrupted. The spurious, it's called spurious, and it is Hassan WC White. Hassan is the one who did this, the one who edited, and she refused later and wrote that editions are coming in, editions of my books are coming out, and she says the Lord wants them the way they were. How can you edit what Christ has written? So anyway, so as we are seeing on this part, let me put everything clear. Okay, so this is great controversy. Loud cry. What happens during the loud cry? What happens during the loud cry? That's very important for us here. Okay, I'm going to put 4SP so that you may compare this text. That will be a nice comparison. Very nice. 4SP. Okay, so 4SP should be here. For volume 4, Spirit of Prophecy will show the words that have been left out in the great controversy. All right. Yes, so it's called the loud cry. It is paragraph XXX3. That is 33. And it's page 4SP, page 421, paragraph 2. As I'm going to read it after this GC 1911 or 1888, they're the same thing, bringing in differences, a difference of opinion, but we believe the Lord is going to guide us to the very end. So I'm reading the loud cry. The title called "These Scripture Points Forward This Great Controversy," page 603, paragraph 2. Look if your great controversy is correct or wrong. The title in your great controversy, 1911 or 1888, it is page 603, 603.2. I'm reading. This scripture points forward to a time when the announcement of the fall of Babylon, as made by the second angel of Revelation 14, verse 8, is to be repeated with the additional mention of the corruptions. There are many which have been entering the various organizations. That is the part I want you to mark. Which have been entering what? The various organizations that constitutes Babylon. You see that part? The various organizations that constitute Babylon. You see that part? Now I want us to go and compare this passage with 4SP. After that, then let's read that part. It's various organizations. And then there is another part down there. Just wait. Hold on. Not yet. Corruption is continuing to be revealed. Let's continue to reveal or expose this thing. Since that message was first given, corruption that has been entering in, we leave it blank. In brackets, it's saying the various organizations that constitute Babylon. I'm continuing. Close the bracket. That's where we are going. Let me just put it. Entering there. I'm putting the bracket, okay? So may know what I mean in the next text. Since that message was first given in the summer, not autumn, summer of 1844. Okay? So error started getting in since the summer of 1844, April or March 22nd to April 19th. All right, so that is where we locate that summer. A terrible condition of the religious world is here described. With every rejection of truth, the minds of the people will become darker, their hearts more stubborn until they are entrenched in an infidel hardihood. In defiance of the warnings which God has given, they will continue to trample upon one of the precepts of the Decalogue until they are led to persecute those who hold it sacred. Does it sound to you like a church? Yes, this is happening in a church, not people, not in a country or in a state outside in public. This is not a public thing. This is two classes forming in the church. Two classes forming. Are you ready? The two churches are forming. One class, two classes are forming. One class is the true church, is the militant, fighting for the Waymarks. So, if this class is fighting for the Waymarks to contend for the truth, therefore we are seeing that since they're contending for the truth, that other class will be holding high positions in the churches. And that's what Paul is saying. We are not contending or fighting faith, flesh and blood, but principalities, rulers, those leading in high places, okay, of darkness. You see that? So we understand that God's people are not moving by sight, striving. They're usually characterized of not striving for positions, for positions, right? They're usually known to strive for the truth. So I'm reading. Christ is set at nothing in the context. Oh, where am I? All right. So until they are led to persecute those who hold it sacred, Christ is set at naught or nothing in the contempt placed upon his word and his people, as the teachings of spiritualism. That is another one. As the teachings of spiritualism are accepted by the churches. You see that comma? Hold on. That's where I'm going to place the bracket so that you may see it clearly on the next quotation. All right. Then I close the discussion. The restraint point upon the carnal heart is removed, and the profession of religion will become a cloak to conceal the best iniquity. A belief in spiritual manifestation opens the door to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, and thus the influence of evil angels will be felt in the churches. Will be felt in the churches after they have hated those who are contending for the truth. So when we go to when we come back to, now we go to 4SP. 4SP, we are seeing, I'm going to help you see the difference. Okay, I'm going to help you see the difference, and it is related. In this scripture, the announcement of the fall of Babylon as made, I'm reading 4SP, paragraph 421, page 421, paragraph 2. Okay, paragraph 2, 421, 4SP, paragraph 2. I read. In this scripture, the announcement of the fall of Babylon as made by the second angel, Revelation 14:8, is repeated with additional mention of the what? Of the corruptions which have been entering the churches. The churches. That is what they edited out. Okay? As publishers, we need to return these things back. Okay? Then wait for the video in the last end. You're going to listen to yourself. So, these corruptions have been entering. I've placed a bracket on around where we're supposed to understand. It is the churches since 1844. The churches that are known as churches in inspiration. That term church cannot be applied regarding time and place. So time, since 1844, what is regarded as time, as church? The Seventh Adventists. Others are regarded as religious bodies constituting Babylon. So it is an accusation they're making to them. Okay? While it is us, General Conference churches, Seventh-day Adventists, GCSDA Seventh Adventists, have been letting in corrupt thoughts, corrupt messages, corrupt information to the church. A terrible condition of the religious world is here described. With every rejection of truth, the minds of the people have become darker. The minds of the people have become darker, their hearts more stubborn, until they are entrenched in infidel hardihood. in defiance of the warnings which God has given. Another one is here. They continue to trample upon one of the precepts of the Decalogue, and they persecute those who hold it sacred. All right. Christ is set a knot in the contempt placed upon his word and his people. As the teaching, this is the point, as the teachings of spiritualism are accepted by the churches. What did he say? Now look at this point. No real restraint is imposed upon the carnal heart, and the profession of religion become a clock to conceal the basest iniquity. A belief in spiritual manifestations open the door of seducing spirits and doctrines of devil. The influence of evil angel is felt in the churches throughout the land. So you remember that a belief, not a principle, a belief in spiritual manifestations open the door to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So to that point, I want to put it in your hand to remember that the Waymarks should be preserved, as it has been seen that they will be preserved. Closing that they will be preserved. Let me close with one paragraph here. 1SM. I'm going to write to put 1SM before us. 1SM paragraph, page 200, and it should be 6. Yes. 1SM paragraph, page 200 and 206. During the Kellogg publication, the publication of Kellogg's book, The Living Temple. During that time, these are the quotations that came and showed that those doctrines are tampering with the personality of the Father and of Jesus Christ. Personality of the Father and Jesus Christ. So we are told here, I'm reading 1SM, page 208, paragraph 2. We are God's commandment keeping people. For the past 50 years, every phase of heresy has been brought to bear upon us to becloud our mind. Remember, this is written in 1906. 1906. We'll continue reading. We are God's commandment keeping people. For the past 50 years, every phase of heresy have been brought upon us, to bear upon us, to becloud our minds regarding the teaching of the word, especially concerning the ministration of Christ in heavenly sanctuary and in the message of heaven for these last days, as given by the angels of the 14th chapter of Revelation. Messages of every order and kind have been urged upon Seventh-day Adventists to take the place of the truth which, point by point, has been sought out by prayerful study and testified to by the miracle-working power of the Lord. But the Waymarks, which have made us what we are to be preserved, and they will be preserved as God has signified through his word and the testimony of his Spirit. He calls upon us to hold firmly with the grip of the faith to the fundamental principles. Did you hear belief? No. Fundamental principle. And this one has been immortalized. This is what you're going to meet in heaven. You're not going to meet the one with the Trinity. The one with the Trinity is called fundamental belief. Now this one is called fundamental principles that are based upon unquestionable authority. So since they are unquestionable, it is an unquestionable authority, we need therefore not to wonder. And since they're truth, we are not just going to look into another things. Thank you very much. May God bless you and keep you to the very end. Brethren, God bless you.
By Ellen G. White. Change was the prediction by Ellen G. White that change was to take over the General Conference headquarters after she is laid to rest. A quotation from Annotation Letters, 25 LTMS, MS1, 1915, paragraph 1 to paragraph 6.
When waking out of sleep, she called the nurse to her side and said, "I want to tell you. I hate sin," repeated 3 times. I am charged to tell our people that some do not realize that the devil has device after device, and he carries them out in ways that they do not expect. Satan's agencies will invent ways to make sinners out of saints. I tell you now that when I am laid to rest, great changes will take place. I do not know when I shall be taken, and I desire to warn all against the devices of the devil. I want the people to know that I warned them fully before my death. I do not know especially what changes will take place, but they should watch every conceivable sin that Satan will try to immortalize. Remember, the Lord will carry us through. I am guarding every moment, so that nothing may come between me and the Lord. I hope there will not. God grant that we may all prove faithful. There will be a glorious meeting soon.